Imagine a province where over 20% of the population has vanished in a decade, or a region where 3 out of 4 families survive below the poverty line. These aren't fictional tragedies, they're real stories unfolding right now in the Philippines. While much of the country is advancing, some provinces are facing quiet collapse, driven by insurgency, extreme poverty, natural disasters, and state neglect. These aren't isolated failures, they are warnings, because the same forces, conflict, climate breakdown, and inequality, are now reshaping lives across the globe. In this documentary, we reveal 10 Filipino provinces that are slowly dying, not in headlines, but in silence, where people have stopped believing in recovery. With verified data, official reports, and on-the-ground facts, we'll show you why these places are emptying out and what that means for the future of nations everywhere. No hype, no political bias, just the raw truth behind these fading communities. Let's begin this urgent journey into the heart of forgotten provinces. Number 1. Basilan. Basilan, a lush island in the southern Philippines, has witnessed a massive population decline driven by relentless violence. Between 2000 and 2010, the province lost over 20% of its residents, dropping from 496,500 to 391,000, as families fled from kidnappings, bombings, and insurgent warfare. In 2019, 270 residents of a barangay were displaced overnight during clashes between the army and Abu Sayyaf rebels. Many have never returned. As of March 2025, the International Committee of the Red Cross reported that returning home remains a distant dream due to safety risks and the absence of basic infrastructure. Even with the dismantling of militant strongholds and Basilan's inclusion in the Bangsamoro Autonomous Region, deep poverty persists. Over 80% of residents live on less than $6.85 a day. Schools have closed, farms are abandoned, and trust in the peace process is weak. While local officials encourage return, most displaced families have rebuilt lives elsewhere. Basilan today reflects a province drained not only of people, but of stability, opportunity, and hope. Its landscape marked by silence where communities once thrived. Number 2. Sulu. Sulu, one of the southernmost provinces of the Philippines, is often labeled the country's poorest, and unfortunately the data confirms it. As of 2018, 75.3% of its population lived below the poverty line, and even by 2021, Sulu still had the highest poverty rate nationwide at over 51%, according to PSA reports. This economic despair is deeply tied to decades of violent unrest. Once the epicenter of a Muslim separatist rebellion, Sulu has endured continuous waves of military conflict, terrorism, and piracy. Over 50,000 residents fled to Malaysia in the 1970s, and today, families continue to migrate inland or abroad, fearing for their safety. Infrastructure is weak, livelihoods are unstable, and even fishermen avoid the open sea due to kidnappings and armed groups. While local officials like Governor Abdusakur Tan express optimism, citing a 2024 court ruling to exit the Bangsamoro region in hopes of receiving direct national funding, residents remain unconvinced. Daily life is still marked by insecurity. Kidnappings have targeted doctors, teachers, and even religious leaders. One report described the mass migration as driven by fear and desperation, a reality that no policy alone can quickly undo. Until safety and economic opportunity truly return, Sulu will continue to lose its people, slowly, silently, and persistently. Number 3. Lanao del Sur. Lanao del Sur, once a culturally rich province in Mindanao, has never recovered from the 2017 siege of its capital, Marawi. When ISIS-linked militants took control of the city, it triggered a 5-month urban war that left Marawi in ruins and displaced nearly 200,000 residents. As of May 2025, over 8,000 people still live in overcrowded temporary shelters, with inadequate access to water and sanitation, according to Red Cross delegate Johannes Brewer. The city's center remains a ghost town, and large parts of the province continue to suffer from chronic poverty and social instability. For many, the dream of returning has faded into years of frustration. The rest of Lanao del Sur is haunted by the same uncertainty. Despite government promises and compensation efforts, rehabilitation has been slow, and displaced families have lost not only homes, but entire livelihoods. Insecurity lingers. Even Governor Mamantal Adiong Jr. survived an ambush in 2023, reinforcing fears that conflict could flare again. After nearly a decade in limbo, many residents, especially the younger generation, have chosen to rebuild their lives elsewhere. As one mother said, "We've been gone so long, I'm not sure we even have a community to return to." What remains is a fractured province, struggling not just with rebuilding, but with the quiet reality of being left behind. Number 4. Eastern Samar. Eastern Samar, perched on the Philippines' Pacific edge, is often the nation's first line of defense against typhoons, and it has paid a devastating price. On November 8, 2013, Super Typhoon Yolanda, Haiyan, the strongest storm in Philippine history, made its initial landfall here, leveling towns like Guiuan and Lawan. Entire villages were swept away, and thousands lost their lives or livelihoods. According to Bishop Crispin Varquez of Barangan, it's been 10 years, but many people are still struggling to rebuild. Millions of coconut trees, the province's economic backbone, were destroyed, while fisherfolk lost their boats, pushing families to migrate to cities like Tacloban or Manila just to survive. Nearly a decade later, Eastern Samar remains one of the poorest provinces in the Visayas, with a 2021 poverty rate of 37%. Infrastructure in remote barangays still hasn't recovered, and frequent storms continue to displace communities. Super Typhoon Goni in 2020 reignited the trauma, prompting new mass evacuations. "It's like we rebuild, then another typhoon comes," said Guiuan Mayor Annalisa Kwan, describing how evacuation centers have become second homes. With limited opportunity and increasing climate threats, more youth are choosing to leave permanently. For now, Eastern Samar's greatest export is no longer copra or fish, but its own people, slowly draining from a province caught in a cycle of destruction and departure. Number 5. Northern Samar. Northern Samar, tucked away in the eastern Visayas, is a province that too often feels forgotten. Bordered by rough seas and plagued by inadequate roads, it has long suffered from geographic and economic isolation. In 2015, nearly 60% of its population lived below the poverty line, according to then PSA chief Dr. Dennis Mapa. While that number dropped to around 29% by 2021, many villages remained stuck in deep poverty. Between 2015 and 2020, the province's population growth slowed to just 0.21%, a silent signal that young people are leaving. With jobs scarce, many families send their children to Manila or even abroad, hoping remittances will keep their hometowns alive. In most barangays, grandparents care for grandchildren, while the working generation tries to survive elsewhere. Part of the problem is simple inaccessibility. Until 2023, major coastal towns were cut off from the rest of the country, reachable only by boat. This lack of connectivity worsened poverty and fueled communist insurgency in the region. Armed clashes between the New People's Army and the military, like the 2019 bombing in Lawang, scared off investment and deepened the province's instability. A study by the Philippine Institute for Development Studies bluntly stated, "Backward rural conditions have sparked the departure of people, especially the young." And yet, not all hope is lost. With new highways opening, coconut-based industries expanding, and untapped tourism potential in its pristine landscapes, Governor Edwin Ongchuan insists change is coming. But the question remains, can these developments convince the youth to stay, or has northern Samar already lost its next generation? Number 6. Masbate. Masbate, a rugged province in the Bicol region, stands on mineral wealth, but struggles with deep poverty and insecurity. Despite housing one of the Philippines' largest gold mines, a 2011 study named it the country's poorest province, with a 51% poverty rate. Decades of violence, from political warlord rivalries to communist insurgency, have left communities trapped in fear. In March 2023, clashes between the Army and NPA rebels forced 140 schools to close and displaced over 55,000 students, a chilling reminder of how instability disrupts daily life. The tragic 2021 death of 21-year-old footballer Keith Absalon from a landmine attack shocked the nation and underlined the dangers ordinary citizens face. With safety in question and opportunities scarce, many Masbateños, especially young families, have left for Luzon or Mindanao, emptying rural barangays in search of peace and livelihood. While recent years have seen military gains against insurgents and a reported drop in poverty to 25.6%, by 2023, the scars remain. Locals often say Masbate exports two things: cattle and people, a grim reflection of its economic stagnation and mass migration. Though relative calm has returned in some areas, many who fled are reluctant to return until trust in lasting peace and employment is restored. Even with new infrastructure and security measures, fear still lingers. For now, Masbate's silence is not a sign of recovery, but of villages emptied by conflict, waiting for life to come back. Number 7. Catanduanes. Catanduanes, often called the land of the howling winds, is no stranger to devastation. On November 1, 2020, Super Typhoon Goni, Raleigh, slammed into the island with wind speeds of 315 kilometers per hour, the most powerful storm to make landfall in Philippine history. It destroyed 90% of buildings in its path, left 10,000 homes shattered, and cut off all 11 towns from the rest of the country. Just weeks later, another typhoon wiped out what little had been repaired. For residents, it became a cruel pattern. Rebuild, then watch it fall again. The governor described the situation as starting from zero, and for many Catandungañons, survival has meant leaving. As storms grow stronger and more frequent, entire coastal barangays have become too risky to live in. Outmigration has steadily accelerated. Population growth dropped to just 0.5% in the last decade, and many believe the island is now in quiet decline. Young people flee for the Bicol mainland or Manila, seeking jobs and homes that won't be leveled by the next storm. The local economy, reliant on abaca farming and fishing, is vulnerable to every weather event. After Typhoon Goni, unemployment soared above 30%, deepening the exodus. Though the community has learned to adapt with shelters and emergency kits, resilience has limits. Tourism and national support offer hope, but for many it's not enough. As one walks the island today, abandoned lots and concrete ruins mark the spots where families once lived, until the wind came one too many times. Number 8. Zambanga del Norte. Zambanga del Norte, located in the far west of Mindanao, is one of the Philippines' most persistently impoverished provinces. By 2018, 62% of its residents lived below the poverty line, nearly 4 times the national average. In 2023, the entire Zamboanga Peninsula had the highest family poverty incidence in the country, and Zambanga del Norte was its largest contributor. The reasons are clear: poor infrastructure, underdeveloped industries, and limited access to healthcare and education. Many villages remain disconnected by unpaved roads, and agricultural productivity is low, leaving farmers and fishermen with little to sustain them. For most families, opportunity lies elsewhere, often far away. Years of neglect have fed a cycle of poverty and outmigration. With few legal jobs, some turned to illegal logging or fishing, further degrading the environment. Others were drawn into rebel activity, especially in the 1990s and 2000s, when piracy and kidnappings along the coast scared off investors. As a result, the province's most consistent export has been its people. Tens of thousands have migrated, some to nearby cities like Pagadian and Zamboanga, others to Manila or even abroad. Governor Rosalina Jalosjos admitted in 2022 that poverty and outmigration go hand in hand, calling for urgent national support. While farm roads and seaport projects offer hope, rebuilding trust will take time. For now, many towns grow quieter, not from peace, but from the steady departure of those who no longer see a future there. Number 9. Ifugao. High in the northern Luzon mountains, Ifugao province is home to the iconic 2,000-year-old rice terraces, often hailed as the 8th wonder of the world. But while the terraces still stand, the community that once sustained them is vanishing. Many young Ifugaos are leaving their ancestral villages in search of better economic opportunities in Metro Manila or abroad. Farming the traditional Tinawan rice is labor-intensive, yields only once a year, and doesn't pay enough to survive in today's economy. As more youth pursue college degrees or work outside agriculture, entire stretches of the terraces lie abandoned. Planting alone will not sustain us, says Robert Duyugan, a farmer from Banawe, echoing a sentiment now common across the region. This quiet migration is reshaping Ifugao's cultural and physical landscape. In 2001, UNESCO placed the terraces on its World Heritage in danger list due to neglect, and though removed in 2012, the warning remains relevant. Senator Lauren Lagarda recently cautioned against the abandonment of the rice-growing culture as weeds reclaim untended plots and concrete homes alter the once harmonious terrain. While NGOs and government programs promote agro-tourism and heirloom rice markets to make farming viable again, success depends on reversing the generational drift. A few young Ifugaos are returning, but not enough to turn the tide. Without a sustainable future for its people, Ifugao may soon lose not just its terraces, but the culture and caretakers that give them life. Number 10. Negros Oriental. Once known for its coastal charm and sugar plantations, Negros Oriental has become a province overshadowed by political killings and fear. The assassination of Governor Roel Digamo in March 2023, gunned down at his home in broad daylight, shocked the nation and drew international attention. But it wasn't an isolated case. Since 2019, waves of violence have plagued the province, with local officials, lawyers, farmers, and activists falling victim. A climate of fear and impunity grips our island, said Bishop Gerardo Almanza during the height of the unrest. In towns like Guihulngan, where 23 people were killed in suspected insurgency-related attacks, residents began fleeing or refusing to return. Public spaces emptied, and even families stopped visiting their own hometowns. The roots of this unrest lie in a mix of armed insurgency, clan rivalries, and controversial counterinsurgency tactics, some of which involved alleged extrajudicial killings. While the violence isn't as visible as in war zones, its effect is just as profound. Professionals, doctors, and university students have quietly relocated to Cebu, Manila, or other provinces, seeking stability. A local NGO reported that by 2021, hundreds of families had left rural barangays due to fear. Recent government crackdowns have brought some calm, with suspects, including a former congressman, now facing charges. Still, the memory of bloodshed lingers. Until lasting peace and justice are felt on the ground, Negros Oriental will continue losing its people, not to disasters or poverty, but to something deeper, the erosion of trust in their own safety. Across the Philippines, these 10 provinces reveal a painful truth. Not all decline comes with headlines. Some places die slowly, not from a single disaster, but from years of conflict, poverty, environmental collapse, or simply being forgotten. From Basilan's emptied villages to Ifugao's fading rice terraces and Negros Oriental's silent fear, each province tells a deeper story of what happens when communities lose the support they need to thrive. The names and causes may differ, but the outcome is the same: people leaving behind the places they once called home. These aren't just geographic problems. They are human ones, rooted in governance, inequality, and the urgent need for peace, resilience, and opportunity. If these stories moved you, don't let them fade away. Subscribe to our channel to stay informed about the real conditions shaping lives across the globe. Share this video so others can understand the hidden crises many Filipinos face, and let's start conversations that matter. What surprised you most? Which province's story hit hardest? Tell us in the comments. We read each one. Because the first step toward helping forgotten places is remembering them. Thank you for watching, and we'll see you in the next documentary.